Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian. I'm here today at the Rock Island Auction House. I'm taking a look at some of the guns that they're going to be selling in their upcoming September of 2016 premiere auction. And I'm really excited to get a good look at these two pistols. These are a matched pair of flintlocks, and they're repeating pistols. Each of these can fire, I don't know exactly, but 5 or 6 or 7 or maybe 8 rounds without having to be reloaded. And that's pretty cool. Now this system is known as the Lorenzoni system. Now it actually dates originally to Germany with a gunsmith by the name of Kalthoff, who was making guns like this, although not quite as refined, and I believe all of his were actually rifles, in the 1630s. Now exactly who developed it, when and where is kind of a mystery. It's not like there are a whole lot of written records on the subject, but the general historical consensus is that a guy named Michele Lorenzoni in Florence in the 1660s really put together a proper, compact, efficient, and very effective version of this system. So he got to have his name stuck onto this type of gun, although a wide variety of other gunsmiths, really good gunsmiths, did manufacture these. You'll also find this referenced as the Cookson system. And the Cookson repeating flintlocks are one of the better known versions. Now these two specifically were actually made by a gunsmith by the name of Glass in London sometime in the mid-1700s. So this is a little bit later, well, shoot, maybe as much as 100 years or a little more later than the original development of the system. But that doesn't make them any less interesting. Normally we think of flintlocks as being very much single-shot guns, and maybe you could do 2 or 3 shots by stacking charges in the barrel and having multiple firing locks. What Lorenzoni and Kalthoff here came up with is a really ingenious system that's kind of like a reloading press in a pistol. A reloading press in a pistol, huh? Sounds odd. Let's take a closer look. From this side, it looks pretty much like your typical flintlock. Single barrel, one action. What's going on here, we can see on this side. The defining characteristic of a Lorenzoni pattern firearm is this lever and central spindle. This central spindle is made of brass because it has to be made to fit extremely tightly in the receiver of the pistol. Now if we look closer, we actually have a little loading gate and compartment here in the side of the frame. If I can get it open. There we go. This is meant to store ammunition. So you would fill this bottom chamber with gunpowder, and you'd load this top chamber with projectiles, lead balls. As many as between 5 and 8 typically in these types of guns. I don't know the exact number that this one would hold. Can't really find that out without just loading it up, and they don't really want to let me do that here, which I suppose is understandable. Anyway, you fill this, your powder magazine, you fill the projectile magazine, and then you go ahead and close that gate and latch it. And that is, in theory, a tight enough fit to prevent your powder from coming out. Now to load the gun, you rotate this lever in a 180-degree arc. So you bring it all the way back out to here. You'll notice at this point, a projection on the end of the lever is going to close the pan, the frizzen, and cock the hammer. Now we rotate this back here, and we're ready to fire. So what's going on? So what's going on here, when this lever is all the way back and ready to fire, is our projectile compartment is down here. In fact, we can see it through this viewing port, open right there. And then our powder compartment is right in here. As I rotate the lever forward, what I'm doing is moving these compartments to the back where they're going to line up with the magazine. So when this is all the way back like this, in fact, we're going to cock the hammer all the way back with it. Now, the powder magazine is lined up with this powder compartment in the central spindle, and the projectile magazine is lined up with the projectile compartment. So a ball is going to roll into that, and this powder compartment is going to fill up with powder. Then, as I rotate this forward, these two compartments are going to pivot around and line up with the barrel one after the other. Now, the powder compartment has a little piece of metal blocking it partially so that a projectile can't accidentally roll in. And then you can see through the viewing hole, that's the projectile compartment. I'm going to rotate it forward. That's the powder compartment there. You can see that little piece of blocking metal there. I believe it's slightly bent. It should be right in the center. At any rate, at about this point, the ball will roll into the chamber of the barrel, and then when I continue rotating the lever, now the powder is going to fall in behind it, and then with the lever all the way back, they're both sealed off, and the barrel just has access from the priming pan. So now I've got a projectile in here, I've got powder in here. All I need to do is have powder in the pan, and then when I pull the trigger, hammer falls. Well, this is in the firing position. Hammer falls, strikes that, gun fires. So in order to prime the pan, we have a second magazine right here under this little flap. That's going to hold priming powder. You can see it's actually, I believe that hole connects it through to the powder magazine so that you only fill the powder magazine, then you can kind of shake this gun on its side this way to fill the priming magazine here. So when the lever is fully back and ready to fire, you can see we have a little trough there that would fill with powder with a flash hole to go into the barrel. And as I rotate the lever here, you can see that that trough is connected on this spindle and rotates out of view. When it's out of view, it is actually picking up powder from right in here. See if I can turn the lever and show you. There we go. So there it is in the open, and it's going to fill up with powder from the priming magazine right there. And when I close the lever, you can see it seals off there. And then it pops up here under the pan, or in the pan. All right, to go through the whole process here more quickly from start to finish, this is where you would be. This is the configuration of the gun after firing a shot. And as you rotate the lever, we're going to go all the way out here. At this point, I am loading powder and ball in from the magazine. I've got the hammer recocked. I've got the frizzen closed. I'm going to make sure I have the pistol oriented downward to make sure that a ball and a charge of powder fall into this central spindle. Then I'm going to roll the hammer back this way. At roughly this point, the ball drops into the barrel. Roughly this point, the powder drops in. I close the handle, and you can see now the hammer is cocked. Because of our little powder magazine, we have powder in the pan. The frizzen is closed, and I'm ready to fire again. When I do, this flint's going to hit that, strike it open, and bang. Now, there were a couple potential problems with these guns. For one thing, they were very expensive, as I mentioned. Secondly, you need to be a pretty darn good machinist to make one of these that's safe and effective. You need to have a very close fit between that brass central spindle and this steel frame of the gun. The problem is, if that's not a tight fit, you'll get grains of powder in between, or worse, you'll get flashover, fire, effectively, from the firing chamber that will travel backwards around this spindle and into this, which is a compartment full of like 6 shots worth of gunpowder, which you happen to have your hand wrapped around. The gun will then explode and do really bad things to your hand. So this is not the sort of gun that you want to buy from the cheap anonymous seller in the back alley. This is something, if you're going to shoot one of these and own one of these, you want it to come from a very reputable gunsmith. Needless to say, there weren't a whole lot of these made between the safety issues and the cost. So the ones that do exist are really cool to take a look at. They're often embellished, because if you've got the money to make one of these or to commission one of these, you're going to make it kind of fancy, not just plain. And some, like these, are going to be commissioned in nice matching pairs. What would have been, frankly, even a little more cool is if one of them had been the mirror image of the other. As it is, these are identical, so they both have the lever on the left and the action on the right. Would have been kind of cool if one was the mirror image, so you had a two-handed thing going on. But hey, I'm not the guy who commissioned these in 1750 or thereabouts, so it's not my say. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something about a cool new type of firearm you may not have known about before. I'm thrilled to have gotten the chance to look at these. It's been several years since I saw one, and the last time I only had a pretty crummy low-resolution camera. So I'm happy to have been able to get good footage of these two for you. If you'd like to own them yourself, they are, of course, coming up for auction here, as is everything here. So take a look at the description text below. You'll find a link there to Rock Island's catalog page. These are a pair of guns being sold together as a pair. So If you'd like to have 2 of them, one for both of you, then check that out. You can bid online or over the phone, or come up here to Rock Island and participate live yourself. Thanks for watching.